Welcome, beautiful people, to the GPS podcast with me, myself, and I, Mr. Nelson. And I believe today will be officially dealing with what is the meaning of life, the true meaning of life. Um, this is a question that is frequently asked by so many people that I run into in my life. You've probably asked yourself the same question: what's the meaning of life? And you want to know and you want to understand, and so I'll jump straight into it. I don't think I want to do any build-ups or lead-ups to the actual answer. The meaning of life is to carry a burden. You know, the wisdom of life is choosing the burden before life chooses the burden for you. So that's the true meaning of life. And so you might ask yourself, why should the meaning of life be to carry a burden? Why can't the meaning of life be to enjoy my life, to work hard, and commit and do. Okay, let's slow it down a bit. So let's say you want to work hard, or you want to enjoy life, right? Let's say you work very hard and you save up all the money in the world and you tour the world. What comes to you? What hits you? What hits you is, I need to make my mother happy. I've got all this money, I've been working hard, I need to make my mom happy. If you have kids, my kids. And initially, you take all your effort and you reinvest it, right? You reinvest it. And whether you reinvest it in yourself, still a burden. So upon taking it and reinvesting it in making your mom happy, you are realizing that you're carrying a burden. So you went and you worked so hard so that you can make someone else's life better. And even if you want to make your life better, you're still carrying a burden. Because taking yourself to that beautiful hotel requires walking to your car, driving, concentrating. Just for me to think, I need to be able to focus. Just for me to walk, I need to have energy. That's a burden. Exercise is a burden. Talking is a burden. That's why we get tired and we need to refresh so that we can get energy again. And so what you're now getting into grip with is that life is a burden. The meaning of life is to carry a burden. And the wisdom of life is choosing the burden before life chooses it for you. So what do I mean? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you are the type of person that feels like you don't know what you want to do. You don't know what your purpose is. Or you don't know what you want to do. You know what happens with time? What happens with time is eventually that thing chooses you. Something chooses you. When you're just sitting and you're doing nothing, something chooses you. And it's either you're going to live a life of being intentional and you making the moves, or life making the moves on you and you're just trying to manage the choices and the things that life is sending your way. And now you are on the defense trying to sort this out and sort that out, because there's a number of things that you don't decide. You don't decide to be born. You don't decide who your parents are. You don't decide the kind of family you grow up in, right? That's life happening to you. Initially, there is meaning, because when you were born, it didn't come out of nowhere. You came from your mom and your dad, and this is why family is the core base principle, fundamental of life, right? Family means a lot to everyone. And so you didn't just happen, right? You are a result. Imagine. And so you are a burden. You are someone's burden. And you are life happening. That's your existence. That's my existence. I had no input, a percentage of decision making in the decisions my parents decided to make when they were, creating me. And so here's my point to you. There comes a time when, as life has happened to you, you then have maybe a number of resources at your disposal, be it education, be it your gifts and your talents, be it your calling, and everything that's at your disposal is created so that you can happen to life. And so life is the happening of a burden, the happening of a decision. That's life. Someone decided that we needed to have roads. And before roads were created, someone else might have come up with or might have had a better strategy than road. And maybe they thought, with some type of technology or whatever the case may be, we have 80% water and 20% land, and even though we walk on land, how about roads become the water, and we develop systems whereby shoes and suits and etc., and the roads are the water. We move on water and we use land differently, and and houses are now structured differently and they mean different so that we last longer, and we have a connection with water, and that's reality. That literally could have happened. But the main reason why that never happened is because someone never happened to life. And so while they were not happening to life, life was happening to them. Just like you having a brilliant idea, innovation of what you think would make cars better, technology better, and you wait until someone comes with a less powerful, impactful innovation in the same sphere that you operate in or in the same realm. And what happens is you sit back and you watch, because you're not happening to life. And if you're not happening to life, what you need to understand is that life is happening, even though you're not to it, but it is generally. That's why there's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and time continues to move. Whether you do, whether you don't, time continues to move. And so the most challenging thing about life is getting into it. But you're already into it. It's getting into it. I think if you've been listening to me, that should make better sense. Dr. Nelson, that makes sense. And so what you need to understand then is, it is so important to carry. There's nothing else to do. Don't deceive yourself. I think the main reason why we are robbed of great people by themselves is because they have a misconception, a deception, that they think they don't have to carry a burden, and they don't understand that every single thing about life is a burden. And so they then reserve their carrying ability, carrying, not caring, carrying, lifting the load, picking up a load. So they then delay that or limit that because they think they don't have to do that, and then life does that to them. And so they carry the burden that life initially gives them without any problem, but deep down they know they could have created better problems for themselves and continued with those problems. And problem is not necessarily a bad word. It's just the presence of something. I'm a problem because initially I would need to solve myself. So I would go to sleep. When I wake up, I'm hungry, I need to eat. I'm smelling, I need to take a bath and brush my teeth. And I'm a problem. that needs to be solved. My teeth need to be, and so everything is a problem. Every single thing is a problem. Other problems are solved at a higher percentage, maybe they 90% solved, and so you view them as good. But when they solved 40%, you view them as burdens, liabilities, and assets. When a car is in great shape, it's helping you, but when it's in bad shape, it's killing you, right? And so the whole purpose of life, the journey, learn to enjoy the journey, and don't be a lazy person. If you decide to be lazy at the earlier stages of your life, what happens is you don't enjoy the carrying, you don't enjoy the journey, you don't enjoy carrying the burden and flowing with the burden. You understanding what I'm saying? And so that's the whole message that time releases from its mouth. Motion. There's not a single day where time didn't happen. There's not a single day where the sun never took a break. Never. Ever, ever, ever. Ever since I was born, the sun has been doing its job every single day. It's been flowing, it's been moving. Every single day, oxygen has been doing its job. I've been breathing. Every single day, the weather, the wind, the rain, rivers flowing, nature has been doing its job every single day. Never took a break. Even my system, me breathing, my heart has been beating since the year I was born. Never took a break. Ever, 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 ever. And that's burdensome. And so that should tell you, just nature and the inner you, biology, it should let you know that, and even psychology, and every other ology that you might be well versed with, like myself, it should speak to you and tell you that there's no stop. You need to find a burden and carry it, or else the burden will find you and carry you for the rest of your life. It's not really a matter of time. If you're impatient, that means you're in the wrong position, because if you position yourself well, then what is time? That's why they say time flies when you having fun or sitting with good people. And the element of time, what you mean by that is, I am not feeling the movement of time. Meaning, I am carrying. You are carrying when you're with friends. Do not make a single mistake. You have to engage, you have to conversate, have intelligent conversations, you have to reason, you have to process. Whatever you guys are doing involves energy, exercise, energy, exercise, etc. And so that is burdensome. And that's why you see others waking up in the morning and saying, you need to cut out some friends. And so what you need to understand is, you carry. So choose your burdens. Choose your burdens. Choose your burdens. Choose your burdens. And the burdens that have already chosen, because you are a chosen burden. You are a chosen burden. And if you had a choice to choose you, what would you choose? And so that's where the line and the differentiation between accepting myself and recreating myself comes in. I'm not against the different types of people and the decisions they make, because as a psychologist, I'm well aware that people go through so many different things mentally. But the truth of the matter is, if we talk about things like surgery, I want to change my nose, I want to change my face, I don't like how my face looks. That's a very deep conversation. Very deep conversation. One I will not touch in passing, because I might have to revisit it and then dive deeply into it without the purpose of really going that direction currently, as I have a number of different things in my heart, directions that I would rather take currently. And so you need to understand that when you have no choice, then you have to learn to accept. So it is highly paramount that you learn to happen to life and to things. It is highly important that you get to learn that there's no such thing as being... There's no such thing as a vacation, as a break. There's no break anyway. The sun doesn't take a break. If you say tomorrow I'm going on vacation in the Caribbean, or wherever you're going on vacation, you expect the sun to be at work. You expect the weather to be present, right? You expect everything else to be in motion. You expect the staff there. You expect the hotel people to be there. You expect everything motion. That's work. You rest when you're dead, when there's no life, right? You see, death, no life. But it's funny how the heart's not beating, the blood's not flowing, the brain is, everything is dead. You're non-responsive. It's funny how that's titled death. And when someone is in a critical state, or in a light coma or a much deeper coma, you have to check if the person is actually alive by feeling their pulse. And what happens? The pulse you feel. The reason why when the pulse is absolutely not moving, that's a sign that someone is dead. It's because that thing has been moving since the day you were born. That thing has been moving. So upon that thing no longer moving, you are then not in life. You are then not in life. You have exited life. And it's so crazy how we connect death to life, but we can't do the opposite in regards to, we connect death to life in the physical manner in regards to biology, right? But we can't do the same in regards to purpose. Isn't that crazy? We don't do the same in regards to purpose. In regards to purpose and finding who we are and the different directions we need to go, we say, I'll see what I do. It's not really about the money. It's not about the money. The truth of the matter is, if you can get gifted in what you do, you study it, understand it, and commit yourself to it, the money will come. The money has to come. The money will give in. And so the thing about the absence of money is it comes with urgency, with a rush that might cause life to happen to you. And so each and every human being that has been born, there are some degrees of life happening to that individual, even if the person is born in a very rich family, and even if the person is born in a middle class family, even if the person is born in a very poor family. There are levels and degrees of life happening to those people, even if they're super rich. And so that means the person has to defy those odds to actually be what they intend to be. And so that speaks to the same conversation that says, I can't really happen to life. I wasn't born with many options. Two things that happen upon the creation of every person. Life has happened to them, and they are the result of life happening, and they now have to happen to life. It's a matter of when they actually happen to life, and if they never do, life always has a job, Life has a job. Some people's jobs are just to sit on the street, and for us to have terms like beggars, street people, for us to have different terms and of everything. Life happens. Trees, grass, birds, bees. Life has to happen for those terms to exist. I can't mention a term that you've never heard. The moment I mention something, you say, what is that? You're trying to identify and connect that to the physical realm, to life, where you can see it, identify it, and touch it. Because upon life happening, that thing existed. And so my point is that life always has a job for you. Even if you're jobless, it always does. Because being poor is a profession. It is. Sleeping on the streets is a profession. Being a criminal, a thug, is a profession. That's why thugs dress up in a certain way and speak in a certain way and walk in a certain way and dress in a certain way. Others have different colors and because there's space for everything. That's life. Life chose what needed to be here. And there's no physical, literal aliens that we see moving around every day, because life never chose to happen in that manner. And so it might remain in our imagination, but not in the reality of life. As much as we desire to see it, there's 1,000 movies about supernatural beings. Not to say they don't exist in the spiritual realm, and spiritual realm is a discussion for another day. We're dealing with the meaning of life. And so, but the main point and objective I'm making is life chooses to happen and chose to happen the way life has happened. The way life has happened. And so what you need to then understand is you are a part of life, regardless of people's definitions. There's no such a person as a nothing and a nobody. Everybody is a somebody and a something. It's just that the thing is seen as low by others. But life needs that for life to be life. You know? And so there is a certain motion as I'm speaking. There's a certain motion that I'm trying to create in your brain, in a situation that, as I'm verbalizing everything, there's a situation that I'm creating in your mind. There's a situation I'm creating in your mind, and what happens is, before you know it, I'm repositioning you. I'm GPSing you. And GPS stands for God, People, Psychology. But GPS is also a navigation system. And a navigation system in a car is because you don't know where you're going, or you're not really sure. And so it actually takes you to the exact destination you're trying to get to. And so GPS doesn't just stand for God, People, and Psychology, but it also stands for navigation system. And those concepts combined are basically me saying, I help you navigate. And that's what we're doing right now. We're putting you in a mental position where you're viewing life and you feel like you're actually learning how to motion, right? You're learning how to process, how to motion, and how to move. I'm giving you that feeling where you're like, I think this is how one moves. I think this is how one decides, because deciding is an art that needs to be taught. And so if you watch my short videos, my reels, and if you don't, please do like, subscribe, share. You get to learn a number of things. You get to learn a number of things about deciding, and we dive deep into some of these topics in the future. And so my whole point is happening. You know, it's interesting. We are called human beings. Being. B-E-I-N-G. A being. And the word being, if you minus the I-N-G at the end, is the word be. And the word be is the word become. Become, just be. To be is to happen. That's why there's a number of musicians that have songs titled Let It Be. And when people use the expression or the phrase let it be, what they're actually saying is, I'll let it be. We're not called human becomings. We're called human beings. So just the structure of that wording says, you're not here to chase the future. You have to know how to do the presence so well that the future does. I don't know if you're following me. You have to know how to be. You have to know how to exist, how to be. You breathing, do you know how you're breathing? No. Because the biology of your system and you breathe without you telling yourself that, let me breathe. Naturally, you be, right? Breathe, you be. And so the same way, we need to learn how to function, how to flow with life. We need to flow so excellently that we're not chasing the future. We're entering it. And I'm not initially saying being irresponsible and not for planning or planning ahead. But what I'm actually saying is being such an intricate, amazing, timely decision maker that everything just falls into place. And such an amazing expert in understanding time that the flow is just perfect. And so this is life. And as you get deeper in understanding what life actually is, it gets much harder, it gets much easier living it, because you know exactly what must be done, when, how, and who you are, and where you are, and what you need to do in order to be. You know exactly what you have tolerated for a long time. This is a very typical situation of, I work in a bank. There's a number of people having random conversations amongst each other. And I walk in the bank and I start screaming. And immediately all of them, they just stop talking. And they look at me and they listen. They give me their attention, their ears, their eyes. And so I happened. That's why they, no matter the value of what they were saying, of what they were communicating, of points they were trying to get across, even if a mother and a daughter were having a very serious discussion, and let's say the daughter was angry at the mother and pouring out her heart and expressing how she feels, like she's really unhappy and she hates her mom, she stops because I happened. And so perhaps by the time I stop happening, she's forgotten because I happened. And the tensions are lower, and the mom now gets a chance to speak, and they sort it out because the tensions are low. I happened. And that's the whole point. You need to happen. And so the point I'm getting across to you is that you don't need to wait in order to receive. You need to happen. From me, Mr. Nelson, it's definitely been a pleasure having you. Thank you for listening to my podcast, the GPS podcast with Dr. Nelson. I hope I get to see you next time I'm recording or I'm doing something of this nature. Like, subscribe, comment, and go follow me in different platforms. Thank you very much. Stay blessed.